Hi everyone, my name is Julie Wallace. I am the owner of Bloom Yoga Fitness Studios and Verbena Holistic Center here in Southington, Connecticut. And as many of you know, I am also the mother of 4 beautiful children. My two oldest kids, Bethany and Morgan, are also my business partners. So I'm honored to be here with you today. We're trying to think of something we could offer you on Mother's Day, and we kind of came up with this idea that I could offer to you the 3 greatest lessons that I've learned in motherhood. So before I even get started, what I want to offer you, either whether you're a mom of older adult children as I am, or if you're a mom who's raising teenagers or school-age kids, or if you are a mom who just had a baby, or perhaps you're even a mother-to-be. I think that motherhood is such a beautiful and unique experience for each person, and it offers like a unique experience for wherever you are in the different stages of your kids' lives. So what I want to say to you is, I'm speaking to you today from the viewpoint of a mother of adult kids, but I think everything that I'm going to offer can be applied no matter what the age of your children. I also want to offer to you that what I'm going to say is my unique experience, and I'm hoping that it can somehow help you. And I say this with the utmost humility, and just knowing that I'm by no means an expert. I'm still making my way along this journey of motherhood. So what I'm offering to you again comes from the most humble place of my heart, and I truly, truly hope that it helps you. So the 3 greatest lessons that I personally have learned in my experience of being a mother. And I have to say, the greatest lesson of all is when I finally came to the understanding that my children were a soul first and my children second. So what does that mean, that they're a soul first? I think for me, what this means is that their whole life I had them in the role of child, and me as their mother and their protector. And I forgot somewhere along the way that they were a soul just as I was, who was here on earth. I always call it Earth School. And they were here to have their own human experience. And that meant that part of that experience would involve maybe some suffering. And as a mother, you're always trying to protect your kids, of course, from any type of suffering. So part of the platform that I kind of set for myself as a mother was that I wanted to prevent them from ever feeling pain. And so this became problematic as I moved through my life, because of course I couldn't shield them from pain. And I would in turn feel guilt every time something didn't go well, and then blame myself that my kids were experiencing pain. And later in my adult life, I realized, for me, I know that my own suffering and my own hardships and adversity was actually always just a catalyst for my growth. And it was actually instrumental to my growth. So why would I take that experience away from my children? And so it took a lot of courage to be able to move through that, knowing that they're a unique soul. They came here to learn whatever they needed to learn about themselves. This also helped for me to take away that feeling of blame or guilt that maybe they had learned something that wasn't quite perfect, But now I know as a soul, they were here in this exact time with me as their mother, because our joined experience had something to teach them, even if, and maybe even especially if it wasn't perfect, if the outcome wasn't perfect. So that is I put it first because I think it is probably my greatest lesson of all. And what that did for me was it freed me from feeling guilt. Because I know as a mom, to see your kid suffer to any capacity instantly makes you feel like you failed. And it took that away from me. And I realized that all experiences have value. They all do. And as long as I'm moving from a place of love, and that my intention is love for them, I really can't screw it up. And so I offer you that, the very first of my 3 greatest lessons that I've learned. Okay, number 2. This was that our children, I believe, learn more by how we feel than by what we say. So what that means is you can say everything just right. But if you yourself are struggling, and again, there's no blame here because it's all experience, but if you are struggling on the inside, but acting perfectly on the outside as though nothing's wrong, we're not fooling them. At the end of the day, we're just not fooling our kids. They can feel what we feel, and they learn by how we feel. So all the emotions that we have are vibrations, right? So this energy is emitted, and our kids feel it in us. So I'll give you an example of this one, which just blew my mind. My daughter Morgan told me a story how she used to love to come into my closet and try on my shoes. This one gets me choked up. She used to come into my closet and like to try on my shoes, and she told me once that she put my shoes on and she could feel my pain. And it was during a time in my life where I was kind of unhappy, and I was trying to be the rah-rah cheerleader mom, always doing everything right. I was on the PTA, I was their room mother, I was just pretty much like trying to play the role of this perfect mom. So outwardly, I wasn't expressing that I was having a hard time, but again, I wasn't fooling anyone. She said she could literally feel the energy when she put her feet into my shoes. She could feel my pain. So I think it's important to know that it's okay that they feel that, but that your own work on yourself is the greatest gift that you can give to your kids. So you don't have to be perfect because you're just a work in progress. But as long as you are really looking inward, right? Looking inward at whatever's going on with you emotionally, if you are always working on that, they're going to heal as you heal. So that's the greatest gift that you can give to your kids. So think about your ancestry. It helps to kind of look at your lineage and find out, what did you inherit, like the emotional capacity? So for me, I had to kind of look through the lineage of women in my life and figure out what it was that they were carrying. So we inherit a lot of that from our ancestors. You don't just inherit your eye color and your size and your stature. You also inherit whatever's going on with them emotionally. It's energy, right? So it's passed on. And so when I was doing this work on my own, I thought, if they're learning by how I feel, I don't want to pass this on to them the way that maybe it was passed on to me. And I'm not saying that it was passed on purposefully. So I didn't want it, I wanted it to kind of stop with me. So by healing myself and really doing that deep inner work, that was the greatest gift that I could possibly give to my children. Okay, so that was number 2, one of the biggest lessons for me. Last one, and this is more maybe for those of us who have adult children. It's okay to be vulnerable in front of your kids. So this was also a really hard lesson for me to learn. For those of you who know my story, I was divorced at around age 40, and I had the 4 kids, and for a while there, their father was living kind of across the country, so I was pretty much the sole parent for a good portion there. I felt a lot of responsibility around that. So to me, I always felt that I had to be the rock. I had to be strong all the time. And so showing my vulnerability was just not something that I did in front of my children. Well, a few years ago, I lost both of my parents. They both died within about 10 months of each other. It was just the most horrific 10 months of my life. So as you might imagine, there's a lot of trauma when you lose that first parent. I was there when my father passed away. I had witnessed his death. My own immortality was just right there and so apparent by watching him pass the way that he did. And then the 10 months that followed were also very challenging. My mother had dementia, and the losing the love of her life really kind of expedited that dementia. So we had a very challenging 10 months with her. And then she finally passed. And so I really didn't have a good opportunity to grieve, I don't think, for my dad at that time, because we were so worried about my mom, and her grief was so overwhelming. that it really took place of our own grief. And when I say our, I'm speaking about myself and my sisters. So we spent that 10 months really caring for her. So after she passed, I was starting to have a really challenging time. And it's interesting how grief finds its way into your body. And I was having a lot of physical symptoms. And again, if you know me, you know how health conscious I am. I consider myself pretty aware as well, so I wasn't quite sure what was going on, but I was having a lot of physical symptoms. And so I was having episodes where I thought I might pass out. I was having a lot of anxiety, almost to the point of having panic attacks. And I really was not at my best. And so what was happening was, it was, of course, spilling out into my work life. After my mother passed away, we buried her. I took about a week off. I came back to work. And I was really, really struggling. And I was trying so hard to just push this down and just move forward. And there was one day I came out and I was just, I had it. Keeping it down was just no longer a possibility for me. And so I remember I came out, my two beautiful daughters, Bethany and Morgan, were sitting there. And I said to them, I'm not okay. This is gonna make me cry too. I said, I'm not okay. And I'm so sorry that I'm not doing my part. I feel like I'm letting you guys down. And they said to me, it was one of the most beautiful moments I can recall in motherhood. They said to me, Mom, it's okay that you're not okay. We've got you. You can be vulnerable. Like, if you're depressed, go ahead and be depressed. And they gave me permission. I did not expect to cry like this, you guys. I'm sorry. That was such an amazing moment for me as a mom. They gave me permission to be vulnerable. The greatest gift that I've ever gotten from being a mother was, at this point, knowing that I could lean on my children. You know, it was a gift that they were ready to give, and it just took me getting myself in a position where I was able to accept that gift of vulnerability. And let me tell you something, that changed everything in my relationship with them. I had been holding on so tight for so long, trying to be strong, and just, it's impossible to be strong all the time. So for me, allowing myself to be vulnerable in their presence and lean on them a little bit, that was by far one of the greatest lessons that I've ever learned being a mom. And so that's all I have to offer you. And I hope that it helped you. If you are a mom who has young children, or maybe even a mom who is expecting a brand new baby, I just need you to know something. If you move forward with love in your heart and you're truly doing your best, you cannot screw it up. You just can't screw it up, right? If you care that deeply about them, no matter what choices and decisions you make throughout their lifetime, you won't be able to mess it up. So I offer you that. And from the bottom of my heart, I wish every one of you an absolutely beautiful Mother's Day. And I hope that you honor the day and honor yourself as a mom, and you take some time to really nurture yourself and do something very kind and loving for yourself today. And that's all. That's what I have to offer you. Love you guys. We miss you so much here at the studio. And I hope that you have a marvelous, beautiful day. Please take good care of yourself. Take good care of each other. Namaste. We'll see you soon.